For more than 150 million years, dinosaurs dominated the Earth. They evolved into giants larger than any land animals before them, conquered nearly every environment on the planet, and transformed ancient ecosystems. But the age of dinosaurs did not begin with giants. Long before Tyrannosaurus, the giant Jurassic sauropods, or the massive herds of the Cretaceous, the very first dinosaurs were just small animals. One of the oldest known examples may have been Nyasasaurus parringtoni, an animal that lived roughly 243 million years ago in what is now Tanzania. Nyasasaurus was not an enormous predator or a towering giant. It was relatively small and agile, but its body already showed features that would later define dinosaurs for millions of years. Its upright posture allowed it to move more efficiently than many earlier reptiles, and its long limbs suggest it may have been fast and active in ways that gave it an advantage in the harsh Triassic climate. Still, the rise of dinosaurs was incredibly slow. It wasn't until over 10 million years later that dinosaurs became more common across the landscape. During that time, animals like Eoraptor appeared in what is now South America. Eoraptor was one of the earliest true dinosaurs ever discovered. This dinosaur was only about 4 feet long. It was small, slender, and likely fed on almost anything it could find, from small animals to plants and insects. In a dangerous world filled with competition, flexibility became one of the greatest tools for survival. Eoraptor did not dominate through strength. It survived because it could adapt. Another one of these smaller dinosaurs was Coelophysis, a slender predator that lived roughly 210 million years ago during the late Triassic. Although far smaller than the giant dinosaurs that would later dominate the Jurassic, Coelophysis already possessed many of the features that would define theropod predators for millions of years. Fossil discoveries from Ghost Ranch in New Mexico revealed the remains of hundreds of individuals preserved together, suggesting that a large number of Coelophysis may have once lived in groups. At a time when dinosaurs were still only a small part of the Triassic world, Coelophysis represented an important evolutionary shift. Hidden within animals like this were the early foundations of a lineage that would eventually produce some of the most successful predators in Earth's history. And the competition surrounding these early dinosaurs was intense. Some of the most feared predators of the Triassic were the Rauisuchians, giant crocodile-line reptiles that ruled the land for a long time. Among them was Postosuchus. This massive crocodile-line reptile could reach over 20 feet in length and stood on long, upright legs that allowed it to move with surprising speed. Unlike modern crocodiles, Postosuchus was built for active hunting on land. Its enormous skull was filled with blade-like serrated teeth designed for maximum efficiency. Its powerful muscles also gave it the sheer force to dominate its world. While ancient dicynodonts, distant relatives of mammals, still wandered across the floodplains feeding on vegetation, the world of the Triassic was crowded with strange and highly specialized animals, and dinosaurs were only one small group struggling to survive among them. At the same time, another evolutionary path was beginning to emerge. Plateosaurus represented one of the earliest large plant-eating dinosaurs. Living roughly 214 million years ago, Plateosaurus was far larger than many other dinosaurs of its time, reaching lengths of over 26 feet and weighing several tons. Its long, flexible neck allowed it to feed on vegetation beyond the reach of smaller herbivores, while powerful hind limbs supported its growing body across the floodplains of ancient Pangaea. Animals like Plateosaurus held the early foundations of the sauropod lineage, representing a crucial stepping stone toward the Age of Giants. But the world of Plateosaurus would not last forever. As the Triassic period slowly came to an end and the Jurassic period began, the world was changing once again. In this new world, dinosaurs rapidly spread across Pangaea, and among the descendants of Plateosaurus, evolution began producing giants unlike anything ever seen on Earth before. Among the most famous was Brachiosaurus, a towering dinosaur whose front legs were longer than its hind legs, giving its body a steep upward posture unlike most other sauropods. Its immense neck allowed it to feed high above the ground, reaching vegetation that few other animals could access. In life, Brachiosaurus may have stood over 40 feet tall, making it one of the largest land animals of its time. Yet Brachiosaurus was only one branch of a rapidly expanding dynasty. Across the Jurassic floodplains, herds of Diplodocus moved slowly across the landscape in search of vegetation. Unlike the heavily built Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus possessed an extraordinarily long neck and tail, combined with a lighter body structure. Some paleontologists believe it may have used its neck to sweep across large areas of low vegetation without needing to constantly move its enormous body. Its tail, which stretched like a massive whip behind it, may also have served as both a defensive tool and a display structure within herds. Nearby lived another giant Apatosaurus, a heavily built sauropod with a thick neck and powerful limbs capable of supporting immense weight. For decades, these giants were imagined as slow swamp dwellers, but modern evidence paints a very different picture. Their bones show adaptations for active movement across land, and fossil trackways suggest that at least some sauropods traveled together in groups, possibly offering protection for younger individuals against predators. Jurassic World was no longer dominated by survival alone. It had become an evolutionary arms race between giants. Where massive herbivores evolved size and strength for protection, predators evolved new ways to hunt them. One of the most successful hunters of Jurassic North America was Allosaurus. With sharp serrated teeth, muscular hind limbs, and flexible jaws, Allosaurus became one of the dominant predators of the Morrison Formation ecosystem. Studies show that these animals may have targeted a variety of prey, but they primarily focused on long-necked dinosaurs, even though mature giants would have posed a dangerous threat to even a large predator. Fossil evidence suggests that Allosaurus may sometimes have targeted Stegosaurus, but attacking a fully grown Stegosaurus would have been extremely risky. Stegosaurus carried 2 rows of enormous plates along its back, features that may have helped with display or species recognition. Yet its most powerful defense was its tail armed with 4 long spikes capable of delivering devastating strikes. Some fossil discoveries even show injuries on Allosaurus bones that may have been caused by these tail weapons, revealing that encounters between the 2 animals were likely dangerous for both sides. Although Stegosaurus possessed a relatively small brain compared to its massive body, it remained one of the most successful plant-eating dinosaurs of the late Jurassic. Its large-sized defensive tail and heavily built body allowed it to survive in a world filled with giant predators roaming the ancient floodplains of the Morrison ecosystem. The Jurassic world was now filled with dinosaurs of every shape and size. Some evolved into enormous long-necked giants, capable of feeding high above the forests, while others developed thick armor and powerful defensive weapons to survive among the growing number of predators. But not every Jurassic dinosaur lived in the same way. Some predators adapted to very different hunting environments. One of them was Ceratosaurus, a distinctive theropod recognized by the prominent horn along its snout. Unlike the larger Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus may have spent much of its time near rivers, wetlands, and shallow waterways. Its long, flexible body and powerful jaws suggest it was well suited for hunting fish and smaller aquatic animals along the edges of the Jurassic floodplains. It occupied a very different role within this ancient ecosystem. descendants of those small Triassic survivors had now transformed into the dominant life forms of an entire planet. For millions of years, the Jurassic belonged to the giants. Dinosaurs had already become the dominant animals on land. But as the Jurassic came to an end and the Cretaceous began, evolution pushed them even further than before. This would become the most advanced and diverse age in dinosaur history. By the Cretaceous, dinosaurs were no longer simply growing larger. They were becoming more specialized, more intelligent, and in many cases, more socially complex. Different groups evolved extraordinary adaptations for survival, turning the final age of the dinosaurs into a world filled with some of the strangest and most remarkable animals ever discovered. And at the top of this world stood one of the most famous animals in natural history. Tyrannosaurus rex was among the last great non-avian dinosaurs to dominate North America. Reaching lengths of over 40 feet and possessing one of the most powerful bite forces ever measured in a land animal, Tyrannosaurus represented the peak of theropod evolution. But modern research has revealed a far more complex creature than early depictions suggested. Fossil evidence indicates that T-Rex possessed exceptional sensory abilities, including advanced vision and an acute sense of smell. Its sense of smell was likely among the strongest ever developed in a land animal, allowing it to detect food sources from great distances away. Studies of bone growth also show that it grew rapidly during adolescence, transforming from a lightly built juvenile into a massive apex predator within a surprisingly short period of time. Unlike many earlier predators, Tyrannosaurus rex was built less for long chases and more for overwhelming force. Its massive skull, reinforced neck muscles, and incredibly powerful jaws suggest an animal capable of bringing down prey with tremendous pressure once it got close enough. This apex predator targeted a remarkably diverse array of prey, capable of bringing down everything from tiny creatures to lumbering giants. Its life was also shaped by constant competition. A fully grown Tyrannosaurus required enormous amounts of food, meaning territory and access to resources were critically important. Some fossil evidence also suggests that Tyrannosaurus rex may have occasionally fed on members of its own species. Like many large predators today, Tyrannosaurus was likely an opportunistic feeder, willing to take advantage of any available food source in the harsh and competitive ecosystems of the late Cretaceous. Yet even today, Tyrannosaurus continues to raise scientific debate. Some paleontologists argue that certain smaller tyrannosaur fossils may belong to a separate genus known as Nanotyrannus, rather than juvenile T-Rex individuals. The discussion remains active into the mid-2020s, with researchers examining differences in skull structure, growth patterns, and tooth counts. Whether Nanotyrannus proves to be a true separate predator or simply a younger Tyrannosaurus, the debate reveals how much there is still left to discover about even the most famous dinosaurs on Earth. While tyrannosaurs ruled as predators, horned dinosaurs evolved into some of the most visually extraordinary animals of the Cretaceous. And that was Triceratops. With its enormous skull, 3 sharp facial horns, and massive bony frill, Triceratops became one of the most recognizable animals of the prehistoric world. Some individuals grew nearly 30 feet long and weighed several tons, making them among the largest horned dinosaurs ever discovered. Fossil injuries found on some skulls suggest that Triceratops individuals may even have fought one another using their horns, possibly during territorial disputes or mating competitions. Despite its intimidating appearance, Triceratops was a plant eater. Its powerful beak and rows of tightly packed teeth allowed it to slice through tough vegetation with remarkable efficiency. Living in a world filled with giant predators, Triceratops likely depended on both its size and its horns for protection. Fossil evidence suggests these dinosaurs may have defended themselves aggressively when threatened. For many people, Triceratops represents the classic image of a dinosaur: powerful, heavily armored, and perfectly adapted for survival in the dangerous world of the late Cretaceous. But discoveries in recent years have shown that ceratopsian diversity was even more spectacular than scientists once imagined. In 2024, paleontologists described Lokiceratops rangiformis, a horned dinosaur with enormous blade-like ornamentation surrounding its frill. Unlike Triceratops, Lokiceratops lacked a nose horn, yet possessed some of the most elaborate display structures ever discovered in a ceratopsian. 78 million years ago, Lokiceratops inhabited the lush coastal swamps of Laramidia. This ancient landmass once stretched across what is now the western region of North America. Its discovery highlighted just how rapidly isolated dinosaur populations could evolve into dramatically different forms within relatively small geographic regions. If a single strip of land could produce horns this spectacular, just how strange and beautiful was the Cretaceous world we have yet to discover. Elsewhere on Earth, evolution was producing predators unlike anything seen before in North America. In the river systems and coastal wetlands of ancient North Africa lived the Spinosaurs, a lineage of theropods adapted for life near water. Spinosaurus was unlike almost any other large predatory dinosaur ever discovered. While most giant theropods evolved for hunting on open land, Spinosaurus appears to have adapted to a life closely connected to rivers, swamps, and coastal waterways. Living in North Africa around 95 million years ago, it inhabited a lush environment filled with massive fish, crocodile-like reptiles, and seasonal flood systems that stretched across ancient deserts long before the Sahara existed. The most striking feature of all was the enormous sail rising from its back. Tall neural spines extending from the vertebrae created a structure that may have reached over 6 feet high in some individuals. Whatever its function, it gave Spinosaurus one of the most dramatic silhouettes of any known dinosaur. Today, Spinosaurus stands as one of the best examples of how diverse dinosaur evolution truly became during the Cretaceous. It was not simply another giant hunter. It represented an entirely different ecological experiment, a massive predator shaped by rivers, wetlands, and aquatic life in a way no one once imagined possible for a dinosaur. The Cretaceous was also an age of enormous herbivore societies. Duck-billed dinosaurs known as hadrosaurs became some of the most successful plant eaters of their time. Species such as Edmontosaurus traveled in large herds across floodplains and forests, using complex dental batteries capable of grinding tough vegetation far more efficiently than earlier herbivores. The vast majority of Edmontosaurus fossils are discovered in warm, subtropical floodplains like those in Montana. However, paleontologists have uncovered a specific group that lived year-round in the ancient subarctic. This population was remarkably well adapted to the freezing climate, enduring months of winter darkness and heavy snowfall. But not all hadrosaurs evolved in the same way. Among the most important discoveries related to dinosaur behavior came from Maiasaura. Fossil nesting grounds revealed evidence that these dinosaurs cared for their young within organized colonies. Juveniles appeared too underdeveloped to leave the nest immediately after hatching, suggesting that adults likely returned repeatedly with food. These discoveries transformed scientific understanding of dinosaurs, revealing them not as simple reptilian creatures, but as highly social animals with complex parenting behavior. At the same time, other dinosaur groups evolved entirely different survival strategies. Ankylosaurs became heavily armored tanks of the Cretaceous world, protected by thick, bony plates embedded within their skin. Ankylosaurs developed massive tail clubs formed from fused bone at the end of the tail. These structures may have been powerful enough to break bones or discourage attacking predators. Rather than relying on speed or aggression, Ankylosaurs survived through defense. Meanwhile, small theropods known as dromaeosaurs developed into agile hunters with enlarged, sickle-shaped claws and increasingly bird-like anatomy. Among them was Velociraptor, a relatively small predator now strongly associated with feathers, thanks to fossil evidence preserved in related species. Far from the oversized movie depiction, real Velociraptor was lightly built, intelligent, and likely highly active. Another close relative, Deinonychus, helped revolutionize scientific views of dinosaur behavior during the 20th century. Its anatomy suggested speed agility and a metabolism far more active than traditional reptile models once assumed. By now, many paleontologists believe a large number of theropod dinosaurs possessed feathers, or feather-like coverings, especially among smaller species. Combined with evidence of rapid growth and active lifestyles, these discoveries strengthened the growing idea that many dinosaurs were warm-blooded animals more closely resembling modern birds. And while North America evolved extraordinary predators, South America became home to some of the largest animals ever to walk the earth. Among them was Argentinosaurus. Even compared to the enormous, long-necked dinosaurs of the Jurassic, Argentinosaurus pushed body size to an entirely different extreme. Some estimates suggest it may have stretched well over 100 feet in length, making even giants like Diplodocus or Brachiosaurus seem small by comparison. Its colossal body moved slowly across ancient floodplains, consuming vast amounts of vegetation each day simply to survive. For most predators, a fully grown Argentinosaurus would have been almost impossible to challenge. Its greatest weapon was not speed, armor, or aggression, but sheer, unimaginable scale. The Cretaceous was not simply the final chapter of the dinosaurs, it was their greatest age of experimentation. Across isolated continents, dinosaurs evolved into forms more specialized, intelligent, social, and visually extraordinary than ever before. For millions of years, they dominated forests, plains, deserts, coastlines, and river systems across the globe. And yet, at the very height of their success, their world was approaching its final turning point. Around 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, creating the Chicxulub crater. The impact unleashed enormous shockwaves across the planet. Earthquakes shook entire continents, tsunamis spread across ancient coastlines, and superheated debris fell back through the atmosphere. For the non-avian dinosaurs, the result was catastrophic. The giant sauropods disappeared. Ceratopsians such as Triceratops vanished. The great predators that had ruled the planet for millions of years were gone forever. After more than 150 million years, the age of the dinosaurs seemed to end almost overnight. Their world may be gone, but their legacy never truly disappeared. For 150 million years, dinosaurs ruled the Earth, and in many ways, they still do today. Even now, the story of the dinosaurs is still unfolding. Every new fossil discovery reveals another piece of a lost world that scientists are only beginning to fully understand. If you ever have the chance, visit a natural history museum, support paleontology research, and experience these incredible creatures beyond the screen. If you enjoyed this journey through deep time, be sure to subscribe and join us for more stories from Earth's ancient past. And thank you for watching.